Hello, and thank you for being a follower of the Making Conversations Count podcast. This episode is part of our new series of Carrying On the Conversation. Each Thursday, Wendy releases a conversation she's had with a thought leader or expert in their field. During that conversation, she gets to the bottom of what it is that they do, and that conversation that acted as a turning point in their life, business, or career. On Thursday, she released the episode with Simon Kardynal, ex-Canadian Air Force, and now leadership expert with his own podcast, Trench Leadership, a podcast from the front.
My knee-jerk reaction is to sit everyone down that's involved in this gossip and say, okay, let's hash this out. We're hearing these different things.
So it's my job to sit Wendy down and ask her, Wendy, let's carry on the conversation. What did you get out of that episode with Simon Kardynal?
Every single conversation that I have with guests throws up something. It throws up something for me. It throws up something for you. And I know from some of the private messages that I've had from people that it throws up for them as well. I mean, not literally, but, you know, it does make them go, whoa. If we go back in time quite a long way, was the Rob Begg and Heidi Medina, who was a previous guest. You know, she listens because she's found it fascinating. But then she messaged me and went, he's just blown my mind.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and work with Rob, ask him to help me. She's now, I know, because I'm in regular touch with her, she's on his waiting list. You know, she's made it one of those things that she's going to do. She's imagined it to come real, and it's sitting and waiting and growing to become a something. And I can only say that, you know, having spoken to Rob and now I've jumped the queue, Heidi, sorry. I'm working with Rob. My God, he is going to blow your mind. It is going to change your perspective. So that's what's really fascinating for me from the show is that, what is it I always say? You just never know where a conversation is going to lead.
Right.
How is that going to affect you? So, you know, like with Simon, it was like I was listening and having a chat with Ryan Reynolds, who I've got a secret crush on. And then you turned around to me and you said, oh my God, it's Ryan Reynolds. And I was like, I know. He's just got a way about him. You know, it's not just on in the background. You really listen and it really draws you in. And he makes it fun and it's still challenging. That was the magic of it.
The first thing that came to my mind was, my God, if this topic was being spoken about by anybody but this Simon Kardynal chap, it would have been boring.
My number one recommendation then would be to sit down with everyone and say, okay, this is what I'm hearing. What's going on? Especially if it's gossip that's kind of toxic or it's damaging to someone. It's a good idea to get that out. Maybe talk to each person individually to get the whole picture and then decide if it's a good idea to bring people together.
He managed to make it very relatable. It conjured up so many memories in my life of being that person that was in the little group of gossips and not having the Simon Kardynal type to come in and sort of sit and dissect what we were gossiping about. So, yeah, I think, you know, that was the beauty of it, was that Simon Kardynal managed to take what is really quite a pedestrian subject and make it into something that was pretty riveting, to be honest, and actually sparked quite a lot of thought about how, as individuals, we can all be a little bit better with the leadership thing because, you know, let's face it, all of us are leaders in our own way, whether that be of a team or individuals working with other people that we pay to do stuff for us or...
of ourselves even.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where the whole sort of vision and values come in, isn't it? I found it really quite remarkable, and especially when he made reference to the fact that the Someday reference, I thought that was quite poignant as well. He's right. Although it's not his own words and he was referencing Tom Cruise, it's true. You know, someday is another word for never.
I used to think that someday, when the last part went in, that I would just climb into that GTO and start it up.
If anybody hasn't heard that bit yet, then it's definitely worth listening back to the episode to pick up on that moment because it is quite true. We spend our lives talking about what we're going to do, where we're going to go, And then we just end up not doing it. And I think that mindset shift of actually be purposeful and plan for it, because otherwise it just is going to be a someday, which is never.
We can't change the past, and the future hasn't happened yet, doesn't exist. So all we can be really is here now, having this chat, imagining what is going to come of it.
So off the back of that conversation, on brand of carrying on the conversation, Wendy Wu, how has it made you think about your own leadership skills and how you're going to take things forward within your own telemarketing training business?
It's subtly already had an influence because, of course, I record quite a way in advance. So whilst it might be in the ether to everybody and quite fresh as you're listening, this happened to me quite a couple of months ago, or before Christmas, I think it was. So it's about that leading yourself. You say you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Well, actually, it's made me add salt to the water. It's kind of like that. You can stop yourself. You can get to the water and go, oh, and all those other sort of fears come in and you go, oh, I don't know whether I should do that. Well, actually, you've got to accept the fear, sit with the fear, go through that fear. And I'm now finding myself coaching 13, 14 people at a time. And there are times when it's not about the telemarketing. It's usually about them also pushing through their fear. So for me as a leader, it's about being honest with them to the point of being their cheerleader and encouraging them to actually get past that. And I can give you an example. A lady who's never, ever done outbound call work before in her life. 3 weeks into it, there's a situation with one person. So it's quite relatable to this. And it's had her in absolute floods of tears. And she was ready to quit. And it was kind of like, well, hang on a minute. Please don't throw in the towel just for one person. What is it that you want out of your life and your spectrum? And this was not in the remit of what the client has asked me to do for them, and what I'm being paid to do. But certainly my duty of care to that person was to say, look, if you want what it is that you imagine for your life, and this job helps you to facilitate that, then really you've got to learn to blinker out that person, deal with it only when you need to deal with it, and use this support group that is already there for you to help you get through. And she came back the next day. So it was about that pushing through that fear and saying, stick your fingers up at them and show them what you're made of. Put your back into it, with the right mindset, for the right focus and for the right motivation. You can do this job anyway. If it's just that one person that's stopping you, then we've got to deal with that. And that's what we dealt with. So, there's so many different factors that can affect somebody's performance. And it's not just about telemarketing. It can be about anything that you do in any role. And I've had to stand in my light and go, I'm really vulnerable and this could really backfire on me. And there's a big management conversation going on now. Somebody's not happy with me because of what I've said. And I suddenly went, actually, I've done the right thing. So this is going to be okay. And I've dealt with it differently and the outcome's going to be better. And it was.
If people have missed the episode, and I really do, I can't urge them enough to go and check it out. makingconversationscount.com is the website to go and find all the episodes and all the conversations that you've had. If people want to carry on the conversation with Simon Kardynal, having listened to that episode, what suggestion would you have for them to carry on that conversation?
Oh, in honesty, I would just say you've heard him on the show. And Wendy says you should carry on the conversation. So just open up that email, open up that invitation on LinkedIn with a personal note and say, I really enjoyed listening to you on Wendy's show. She said we should carry on the conversation. Should there be something more I need to ask you? Simple as that. And I know that Simon will reply and you'll have a joyous conversation.